Hi, my name is Young. I was born and raised in South Korea, and I'm currently a postdoctoral researcher in neurosurgery at a hospital in Los Angeles, working on nanomedicine for brain tumor. Millions of immigrants have come to the United States, but I realized I wouldn't often hear them explain, in their own words, why they wanted to come here. So, for this 4th of July, as America marks 250 years since the Declaration of Independence, I wanted to make this video. This time, instead of fireworks, I chose nature. I'm heading to Big Pine Creek Campground in California, and from there, I'll hike up towards Big Pine Lakes. I packed my gears, made a simple breakfast, loaded a car, and left Los Angeles. I grew up in Korea, but America has always occupied a large space in my imagination. When I was around 7th grade, a friend took me to American pop and rock music. Soon, I fell in love with American pop culture, and more broadly, English language music and films. I listened to Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Usher, Black Eyed Peas, Neo, Beyonce, Rihanna, Green Day, Linkin Park, Blink-182, Paramore, Red Hot Chili Peppers, My Chemical Romance, Billy Joel, Journey, Aerosmith, The Police, and so many others. I could go on forever. I loved American movies. I was fascinated by American culture. As a scientist, I admired the scale of American research, its universities, its laboratories, and its history of innovation. And now, I live here, I work here, and I'm building my career here. America is no longer just an idea from far away. It has become part of my life. But because I'm the kind of person who asks reflective questions, I often wondered, why do I like America so much? I've asked myself that question hundreds of times. Was it military power? Was it Silicon Valley, Wall Street, Harvard, Stanford, and the great universities, or Hollywood, music, science? For a long time I thought the answer might be one of those things, but eventually I realized something. Those were branches. They were not the root. So what is the root of America? What is the essence of this country? Not the divided America we see today, but the America before the division. The America at the beginning. I think many questions can be answered by going back to the starting point. For a country, the starting point is often found in its founding documents. For physics, we look back towards the Big Bang. For life, we look back towards evolution. And for America, I had to look back to the American Revolution. Before 1776, there was no United States. The American colonies were part of the British Empire, and many colonists still thought of themselves as British subjects. Many were asking for the rights they believed they already had. But the conflict grew. Taxes, representation, colonial authority, military presence, and the question of self-government all pushed the colonies towards a breaking point. No taxation without representation became more than a slogan. It became a moral argument. By 1776, the argument had changed. Then came Thomas Paine. He had arrived in America only a little over a year before publishing Common Sense, but that pamphlet helped make independence imaginable, urgent, and popular. It did not create the revolution by itself. History is never that simple, but it gave ordinary people a clear language for independence. It helped people imagine that monarchy was not inevitable. It helped people imagine that a society could be built on self-government, republicanism, and natural rights. When I visited Philadelphia recently, I went to the Museum of American Revolution. I also walked the Thomas Paine Street. For me, those places were not just tourist spots. They were places where an idea became visible. And there's one sentence from the Declaration of Independence that I keep returning to. We hold this truth to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they're endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
We arrived at the site. It's about to hit at 1 p.m. right now. We're supposed to depart at 7, but it got delayed a little. And it was a 4 hours drive, not that long. There's no traffic, even from LA. Yeah, it was not bad. $3.95, it's always beautiful. Well, the campground review, it's amazing here. It lives up to its name. There's a lot of big pine trees here, so it smells a little woody. Really love it. We can hear some sound of the stream going down. You hear this bird chirping, it's great. We just pitched a tent here. The campsite is pretty well leveled, like someone rigged it to level it. The spots are pretty well distanced to each other. And there's a really nice spot. Seems like that is collapsed old house. That's pretty cool spot. This campground is right next to the trailhead of Big Pine Lake. So at the entrance, there's so many cars parked there. I think they're all people hiking these mountains up there, which we're gonna go tomorrow, early in the morning. It's a little bit hot down there, but it's pretty cool up here because of the elevation. And yeah, the reason why I'm sitting here in the shade is because under the sun it's pretty scorching. But the temperature itself is only like mid 70, so it's not that bad. Under the sun, it's kind of crazy. But I'm pretty sure because of the altitude here, the elevation over here is more than like 7,000 feet up. So during the night, it's gonna get a little cold. Goes down to maybe 50-ish today. So we'll see about that. Probably we don't have shower. But I saw a sign on the way here, like a token shower thing out there. So maybe there is a shower booth. We have natural rushing running water down there, which is really cold. Because it's glacier water and it's so quiet, and all the campsites are pretty well distanced, so we don't really have to worry about the privacy problems. And our site number 6 is pretty far from the bathroom, so we don't have to worry about the lingering poopy smell. And yeah, we're gonna have some good time here, and we're gonna go hike tomorrow. Pretty iconic one. It's a Big Pine Lake. Probably one of the most beautiful alpine lake trail in California.
I know that in 1776, those words were not fully applied to everyone. Enslaved people, Native Americans, women, and many others were excluded from that promise. Some people emphasize the contradiction between the revolution's ideal and slavery. That criticism is valid. But the ideals written into the Declaration still become a moral language that later generations used to challenge slavery, segregation, exclusion, and injustice. That is what makes America so interesting to me. America was not born perfect, but it was born with a promise powerful enough to judge its own imperfections. To me, the American Revolution created a new kind of operating system of country. It was built around independence, liberty, equality, republican government, self-rule, individual rights, and the pursuit of happiness. The United States became one of the first modern nations to define itself not mainly by bloodline, monarchy, or ancient ethnicity, but by an idea. And over the next 250 years, that idea influenced the revolutions, independence movements, constitutions, and democratic aspiration around the world. Korea was one of the countries shaped by those modern ideals. That is the fundamental reason why I love America. Not only because it's military power, not only because it's technology, universities, music, or movies. I love America because of the modern values it comes to symbolize. Liberty, equality, self-government, human rights, independence, and the belief that ordinary people have the right to shape their own lives. Some people might say that America has lost those ideals, and maybe in many ways, America has changed. But I do not think those ideals remained only in politics. They entered everyday life. They became part of how people speak, how people argue, how people greet each other, how people imagine opportunity, how people tell stories, how people build cities, how people write songs, and how people make films. An operating system is not something you always notice. Most of us use smartphones without understanding how every circuit works. In the same way, many Americans may not consciously think about the philosophical roots of their countries every day, but someone like me, who grew up in a very different culture, can feel it. I can feel it in the casual confidence people have when they speak. I can feel it in the idea that a person is allowed to reinvent himself. I can feel it in the belief that your life does not have to be decided entirely by your family, your school, your age, your background, or the place where you were born. The feeling is difficult to explain, but I think it is one of the reasons so many people still come here. Not because America is perfect, but because America gave the world a language of possibility. Looking back now, maybe it was never just a coincidence that Philadelphia was the first American city I called home. And then there's nature. In the 19th century, America was already politically independent, but intellectually, it was still searching for its own voice. Then came Ralph Waldo Emerson and the Transcendentalism, one of the first distinctly American philosophical movements. They looked for truth, not only in old European traditions, but in the individual mind, in self-reliance, and in the vastness of American nature. Emerson wrote about nature as a place where human beings could recover a deeper relationship with themselves, with reason, with spirit, and with the universe. His student Henry David Thoreau went to live near Walden Pond and wrote about simplicity, solitude, nature, and the examined life. I read Walden this year, and although I did not fully understand America back then, I understood the feeling of wanting to step away from noise and live closer to something essential. That is why I chose nature for this 4th of July. Not fireworks, not a parade, not a city, but mountains, waters, trees, cold air, and the long trail. For me, American nature is one of the most direct ways to feel America. The open road, the national parks, deserts, mountains, lakes, the feeling that the land is too large for your thoughts. When I hike here, I understand something that I cannot fully explain in a classroom, in a book, or in a political debate. I understand why freedom becomes such a powerful word in this country. I understand why self-reliance becomes such a powerful idea. And I understand why so many people from so many different places continue to look at America and imagine another version of their lives. I do not love America because it has always lived up to its ideals. I love America because it gave the world a language to demand those ideals. And as someone who came from another country, built a life here, and still trying to understand what this country means, I think that promise is still worth celebrating. So this 4th of July, I come to the mountains, to walk, to think, to remember where this country began, and to ask myself why I came here. Maybe the answer is simple. I came here because America, at its best, is not just a place. It is an idea, and I wanted to live closer to that idea.